What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video, another day, another dollar. We're going to be breaking down our futures contract per usual. We'll look at our 30-minute time frame, look at the daily, the weekly, and the monthly time frame as well. We're also going to be breaking down the AMD and Netflix charts. Netflix was a trade that I wish I would have been in. Did the technical analysis on it. Did not make a video on it. Should have, as I think the technical analysis and the levels were very, very good. We'll look over that chart here in a little bit, and we'll look over the AMD chart as well, as I am in a swing trade on the AMD. I think it's kind of being slept on. The chart looks good. I'm only risking a couple bucks on it. I got a little bit of time underneath my belt, and I'll show you the targets on the upside and what I need that stock to do. But first and foremost, let's go over the last several days, or let's just go over what happened this week, right? So Monday, right? Keep in mind, we came into balance this week. Monday, Tuesday, right? We remained in balance. We were using this low down here at 53.0650 as our balance low. Then we were using this high up here at 53.8550 as our balance high. On Monday, we had an inside day, attempted to take out the previous day's low or Friday's low. Didn't happen. Went double distribution day to the upside with a trend day and ended with an inside day. Then Tuesday, we opened up, took back the trend day, took out that day's low, ended up reversing, having an inside day / outside day up, because we took out the previous day's low, meaning we took out Monday's low, took it out, grinded, had a double distribution day to the upside, and closed right near the balance high. Then Wednesday, after economic data, FOMC, we exploded out of the balance, right? So whenever we are in a balance or in an area of consolidation, there are 3 rules that you got to obey, right? You get near balance high and or low and roll over, get near the balance high and or low and slightly stretch it, or we push through the balance high or low and never look back. And that's kind of what we did on Wednesday, right? We pushed through that balance high and did not look back. We really kind of got a nice gap up, pushed up, and then late into the day on Wednesday just kind of grinded lower. But each low was met with some extreme buying, right? Extreme buying pressure, which pushed us back higher, but ultimately closing back near the lows. And then yesterday, Thursday, we opened up back inside of the previous day's range, not chopped around, but opened above it, got the point of control that we had here. We had almost a perfect point of control around this 41 level. We had it was actually 12 wide that we had around that 12 that 54.41 level. Pushed lower, attempted to go trend down, took out that day's low, which put us back into a balance, right? So we went from balance here, right? Consolidation for quite some time in between this $85 range or 85 point range, exploded out of balance for one day. Thursday, we take out the low down here at 54.1625, putting us back into a balance. We attempted to go have a trend day down, got into the gap just a little bit, and then ended up grinding higher the rest of the day. Now today, we open up inside of the previous day's range. We push lower. We couldn't take out the previous day's low, right? That's our balance low because we took out this low here. We put ourselves back into an initial 2-day balance, now 3. We pushed down in A, B, and C period. Couldn't take out that 45.0850 level. Crazy how similar it is to 53.0650 level here. Now we're battling a 54.0850 level up here, 100 points higher, 102 points higher essentially than where the balance low was down here. So maybe we get some more consolidation here is kind of what we're assuming, as we are in a balance area. But look at how we couldn't take out the day's low. Nobody wanted to get this thing rolling to the downside and fill the gap down here that fills at this daily high here, which was 53.85 25. Okay, that's where the gap gets filled. Does not get filled at this daily high here at 53.8550. It gets filled at 85.25 because that's where the last print was for this gap. So what do we look for coming in on Monday? All right. Well, hey, let's look to see if we get some more consolidation, right? We had a potential afternoon pullback low right here at 54.19 where we kind of grinded up higher and then ended up pulling back and held before grinding up higher once again. But notice how each day's high since putting in our high, our all-time high here on Wednesday, yesterday or Thursday's high pushed up to basically value high of Wednesday, and then today's high pushed up to value high of today. So we're kind of seeing a series of lower highs, just not really any lower lows, especially with today's low kind of being poor or weak against the previous day's low right here at 54.0850. So come Monday, we want to look to see if we hold above this 54.1950 level. If we do, we can continue to consolidate and chop around inside this range. Today was also an inside day. So what do we look for whenever we have an inside day? Well, we want to look to take it out and go with it and monitor it for continuation. So if we hold above 54.1950 and we take out today's high at 54.3850, go with it and monitor it for continuation. So if we get any type of push or volume behind this push above 54.3850, we could go and set new all-time highs. Or if there's a lack of after we take out that high, kind of like this day here, right? We attempted to come out of an inside day down to the downside. We had a lack of extension to the downside after taking out that daily low right here at 53.41. Right? So after having an inside day, we attempted to come out of that inside day to the downside, failed miserably, and ended up having an outside day up, right? So come Monday, that's what we look for, right? We look to see if we take out this high here at 54.3850, get good extension, get to the high up here at 54.54. If we don't, we could roll over and potentially have an outside day down scenario and then get the balance low down here at 54.0850 where we'll begin one time framing down and filling the gap. Now I am in some SPY puts, to say the least. I am in some SPY puts. I am, believe it or not, they expire on Monday, so I'm not really I wasn't risking a whole lot whenever I got into the trade to begin with. Closed down pretty badly on them today, but I figured one contract for $40 wasn't bad. But I am in the 537 SPY puts, looking to fill the gap on the downside because just the lack of anything kind of happening up here has me just kind of thinking maybe we will get into this gap down here and fill it before moving higher, which would not be unhealthy for the market to have a little bit of a pullback and kind of retest this level down here at 53.85 and really see if we're going to hold above 5,400 prior to moving up higher, especially since volume has been so putrid and just non-existent over the last several days. All right, so upside, let's go over destinations real quick, and then we'll look at the daily, the weekly, and the monthly time frame and ES, and then we'll go over our NFLX chart and our AMD chart, and I'll update you guys on the AMD swing trade that I'm in currently. All right, so upside destinations. Taking out 54.3850 would lead to an inside day up. Your target would be 54.4575. You get above that, you would target the all-time high up here at 54.50 and the weekly high, and that would continue the one-time frame up on the weekly, and then our daily will begin one-time framing up once again once we get above that level. However, if we cannot take out 54.3850 and get acceptance above that level, we will roll over, test 54.1950. We get below that, your balance low 54.0850 is our balance low. You take that out, there's a gap that is a void to the downside. It's going to be difficult to take back, but it should at some point get taken back, and we'll back test and see if we hold this 53.85 level and then maybe get a bounce. But at that point, the daily will become one time framing down, meaning we are setting, once again, lower highs and lower lows. So that is the downside destinations. And then obviously with any more extension below 53.85, you have 53.70.50 where the single prints start back from the 11th, and then they fill at 53.67. Now that would be a far stretch, but remember, we are dealing with short-term traders, weak-handed players, and any paper longs that went long today, if they open below this 54.19.50, they're most likely going to give it up, which could lead to some profit taking in the markets. Now let's look at our monthly, let's look at our weekly, and let's look at our daily. Okay. Monthly, one time framing up. Okay. You can call it 2 months up or 1 month up. However it is one time framing up, meaning we're setting higher highs and higher lows, right? Lower high, lower high, not lower high, excuse me. Higher low, higher high. I'm working off 3 hours of sleep, guys. Leave me alone. So I have an end of year target up here at 59.50. I got that from a Fibonacci extension. Don't judge me. I use them from time to time to get good targets, and that seemed like a good target. Prior to that target, I actually had the target right here around the 40. Which level was it? I think it was the 5200 level, and we hit that pretty good. And then I put in another fib target up here at 59.50. So that is a end of year target, but we need the monthly to continue to one time frame up, get good extension like we had back on these months here. Get good extension, continue to push up to the upside. So monthly, one time framing up. Weekly is one time framing up 2 weeks in a row. Got good extension, excellent extension above the previous week's high, right? So if I go to our weekly chart here, we were in a nice little area of consolidation, right? We were one time framing up, came back into a balance. 52.05.50 was our balance low. This was our balance high, 53.58.25. We took that out last week, and then we got really good extension so far above that balance high. Now, the only way we can come into balance on the weekly is if we take out this week's low of 53.34.50, which would be a disastrous thing for the buyers. So maybe we get some more extension above the all-time high. If we do not, then maybe we end up with an inside week, consolidate between 53.58.25, 5400 level, excuse me, the 53.58.25, and the all-time high up here at 54.54. I think that might be a more likely case scenario, as that seems to be kind of the thing that happens after setting an all-time high. Right here, we set an all-time high, came into some type of, not balance, but had an inside week, and then went balanced by taking out that previous week's low. And then we did that several times repeating. So it's a pretty common thing to see, pretty common theme. Even here, right? Set a new high, kind of had a bit of an inside week, and then finally took out that weekly low. So maybe we see a bit of a similar thing where we consolidate up here between 53.58.25 and 54.54. So weekly, one time framing up, looking to take out this week's high, all-time high, to continue that on the upside. Daily, on the other hand, we need to update this chart, and then we'll get into the NFLX and the AMD. So our daily was in a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 day balance. We broke out of that balance, one time framed up for 1 day, and now we're back into a balance area. Okay, so we're going to move our balance areas up because now we're in a 3-day balance as we took out the previous time frames low right here, right? So that put us back into a initial balance. So we'll update this. 54.54.50 is our balance high, or the top of the channel, however you want to look at it. 54.08.50 is going to be our low. And then the gap gets filled down here at 53.85.25. We're going to kind of do this little number here. 85. Keep putting extra numbers. Gap, fill, previous. balance. We'll do that. And then boom. So here's our balance area. We take this low out, we come down, fill the gap, 53.85.25. We take out the high, 54.54.50. The weekly continues the one time frame up, and then the daily resumes one time framing up. So far, a really good hold of the 5400 level the first two times down there. All right. Now, let's go ahead and look at AMD, and let's look at our Netflix charts. So here's AMD. All right. Being kind of slept on, in my opinion. All right. So we are looking at the monthly chart for AMD. All right. So we had a series of down months here, right? Came into a balance, one time frame up, one time frame up, one time frame up. Had an inside month, came back into balance, one time frame down, inside monthish, back to balance. So this balance low, balance high, one time frame up, one time frame up, one time frame up, one time frame up, came back to balance. So came back. So this is now the balance for the monthly. All right. So this is what I'm about to describe here. Probably label these. So let's label these. This is going to be our monthly balance high up here of 227.30. That is our monthly balance high. All right. Monthly balance high up there. Our monthly balance low in AMD is 133.76. Okay. 133.76. Monthly balance low. So buyers have been wanting to hold this low down here. All right. So they one time frame down, or excuse me, came back into a balance. Now you could use this low here of 145.25 or 145.29 as the balance low initially. And then you could say that it either got stretched or it's one time framing down if you'd like. But for me, I'm going to use this low down here, 133.76 as the balance low. And we're looking to get long. So far, the first time down there near it turned out to be, nobody wants to get short below 140. So we bounced back up. And now so far we're setting a higher low. So let's look to see if we can take out last month's high of 174.55. If we can take out last month's high, that would be excellent. All right, so that is my target on the upside. That's our initial target, is that 174.55 level. But the week or the monthly is in a balance, right? It's a very large balance, but if we can get above that, obviously, it can get moving to the upside. But with all the strength behind the semiconductors and stuff, it just seems like AMD's kind of slept on, really hasn't made much of a movement. It's been in a very large consolidation period for the last several days. And we'll look at that as well. So here's our weekly chart. Okay, here's our weekly chart. We were in a balance area here, one time framed up, one time framed up. Came back into a balance, using this week as the balance low. So using that 172.26 level or 172.49 level as the balance low. Broke that level, one time frame down for the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks with an inside week. Continued that here 6 weeks. Had a reversal bar there, which put us back into an initial balance. So you could have said this high right here is your balance high. And then you began one time framing up once again here. One time frame up here. One time frame up here. Came back into an initial balance using this weekly low down here. All right. So you can say that you're in a initial, excuse me. Let me rephrase that. So the weekly has now come back into a balance, right? We were one time framed up here. So what I mean by that is we're setting higher highs, higher lows. And then we took out a previous weekly low here. We took out that 160 after hitting that 174.54 level the first time. Came back into an initial balance. And then this week, we kind of just slightly stretched that balance low. So if our weekly balance was this right here, what was that, 158.27? So if that's our weekly balance low, we only took that out by about 2 bucks on the downside, which isn't a whole lot, or like $1.30, which still really isn't a whole lot, I don't think. Let me make sure that's correct ish. Yeah, about $1.50, which isn't a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, especially when it comes to weekly ranges that are like an average of $15. So I'm going to say for now we just slightly stretched that balance low, and we're using this up here as our balance high. So let's go ahead and label this real quick as our weekly balance high. That is our target on the upside. This is our weekly balance low, which is going to be 56.92. Now, if we take out this low right here, which I'm long against this 156.92 level. If we take this weekly balance low out, then I will stop out of this position. But I am targeting, right? I'm targeting this up here, 174.55. So I'm long to come up here, right? Since we just barely took that out and then came back up. So 156.92 is the weekly balance low. We take that out, one time framing down, will resume on the downside, okay? And then you'll target the bigger picture, 133.76 on the downside down here for the monthly. But I'm kind of thinking we may come back up here to 174.55. Now let's look at what the daily is looking like, okay? Now the daily's been in a several day balance. I mean, they've just been chopping around in this area, okay? It's hard to say whether it's in a balance, if it's one time framing down, if it's one time framing up. So I'm just going to use the weekly as the exact same balance area for the daily. We're going to be using this low here, 156.92, and then this high here, 174.55. That once again is my target. My stop is down here below 156.92. Okay. Been chopping around here. Each push here has resulted in a pretty good buying opportunity. However, we do have a gap that is, I just noticed, unfilled down here around the 153 level. So if we, take this level out, that would become a downside target in the short term. 153 would be a target on the downside, which, may be a really good short opportunity as well. So I'm in, to be specific, I am in the, let's see here, what am I in? July 5th. Okay, I'm in July 5th, 175 calls. I bought them at $1.60 this morning because I like the way AMD has been holding, especially on the 30-minute time frame here. Just consolidation here, good hold. I think this is an excellent risk reward opportunity, right? I'm only risking a couple bucks to the downside to come up and target these 170, 175 levels. And like I said, we take this out, 156.92. I'm obviously out of that position, and we'll look to, see if it's a short to maybe get some of that money back on the downside. Another thing that we should probably look at real quick is, I know this is a lengthy video. Sorry for those that don't like lengthy videos, but let's look at AMD here. One thing that's been, I haven't been liking, excuse me, it's been kind of difficult, is the 50-day moving average. We've been kind of bouncing in between. But look at where the 20-day moving average is. The 20-day moving average is located up here at 164. So that would be the first initial upside target. But first we need to find acceptance above 160 and above the 50-day moving average. We find acceptance above there. The target's 164. On the upside in the near term, we find acceptance above that. Then 170, 174 would be the next few targets on the upside. But basically, over the last several days, you've had unchanged value, I would say. Value hasn't really done a whole lot. And each time we've dipped down below this 158 level, it just hasn't seemed like it really wants to get going to the downside. So I think this is a slept on trade. That's why I bought some time. I got about 21 days of time here. So we'll see what this market can do and if it can get going to the upside Like I said, stop is down here now. Now that we've looked at that, let's look at Netflix real quick and then get you guys out of here because Netflix heated up today. Netflix heated up today, as you can see, closed near one of the targets here. So let's look at our monthly. Look at the monthly here. All right. So I made these notes literally on Tuesday. Okay. I did all this analysis on Tuesday after I made my video, I think. So here's the monthly. Our monthly was in a nice little balance area here, held excellently against the balance low down here, 150, or excuse me, 54. Not 54, excuse me, 541.95. Held that low, boom, exploded up. One time framing up now on the monthly. One time framing up continues, and you are targeting the 700 level, right? I said one time framing up holds above, needs to hold above 639. We hold above 639. You should go and target the 700 level all-time high up here for the monthly. So we held that 639 level pretty well the last several days. You look at their 30-minute time frame, and we look at where that balance high was at 639. You can see we held it back here on Monday. We pulled back into it kind of on Wednesday, held it, pulled back into it on Thursday, held above it. Excellent, excellent trade opportunity there. 642s you could have bought, 645s you could have bought. Stop down here below 640, risking $5, and your targets was 675 on the upside in the short term, and we hit that to the T, and you'll see that here in just a second when I move to our weekly and our daily time frame. So monthly is one time framing up, targeting that 700. Okay, now here's our weekly. Our weekly was also in a nice little balance. Okay, we are now one time framing up, right? So this was our balance. Balance high right here was 664.25. Okay, balance low was 619.52. We needed to take out 664.25. We did that. We got above it, held above it. I said weekly balance needs above 664.25 to target. I even said weekly target 675.38. I put this, I wish I would record it. I put this stuff in on Tuesday, which was an excellent opportunity to buy, believe it or not. And then today's high was 675.58. We got above that target by 20 cents. Hit that target to the T. Cannot believe how accurate that was. All right, so weekly is now one time framing up. Looks to target that 700 all-time high. Let's look at our daily. Look at our daily. Our daily was also in a balance at the time. Okay, we're chopping between this balance low of 628.39 and the balance high up here at 657.99. I said daily balance needs acceptance over 650, 657. High targets weekly balance high at 664, then the all-time high, right? And then I said target is going to be target one right here, 11 from the daily high on November 11th or November 30th of 2023. 675.38 was the target on the upside. The daily is now one time framing up as well. We're going to look to see if we can hold above that 664 once again. If we pull back to it, we do. I may look for a long entry to go and target these other daily highs on the upside. So let's look at what those other daily targets may be. So we got that 675 here. The next upside target is going to be 676.41. Then above that, 679.48. Then above that is going to target from this massive trend day down here, which was an outside day down, going to target a high of 694.14. So the daily, the weekly, and the monthly, all three of those time frames are one time framing up. What an excellent opportunity to get long in this market against those levels. Once again, let's look at what our daily did here. You can see our daily was just chugging along, chopping, boom, explode out of balance to the upside. So just excellent trade there. Wish I would have been involved in it, especially after getting above that monthly balance high right here at 639. Right, we got above it back on Wednesday of last week, pulled back into it on Friday, coming into Monday, held it. Should have taken that long there to go and get 675, but I didn't do my analysis until Tuesday, um, which resulted in a really good opportunity once again on the pullback coming into yesterday. So long, lengthy video. Hopefully, you guys understand my thought processes and can see how I do things. Thanks for stopping by. If you made it to the end, leave a like down below, comment something. Let me see what you think.